Hello, welcome everybody. Hi, welcome. Good evening, and welcome to the American Forum. My name is Lena Jaswal, and I'm the Interim Dean for the School of Communication at American University. The American Forum is a place where the School of Communication brings prominent figures in politics and media to engage with AU students about the most important issues facing them in the country, in politics, media, and democracy. The American Forum is a co-production between the School of Communication and the Kennedy Political Union. I would like to thank the KPU director, Shreya Joshi, and her team for making tonight possible. I would also like to thank Professor Jane Hall and her team at SOC. Jane is a longtime moderator and the executive producer of the American Forum. She and SOC have worked with KPU for many years to produce numerous wonderful American Forums together.
Please join me in welcoming Professor Hall and Ms. Brazile.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we are so glad to have you. You said this fall that the biggest challenge facing Democrats in 2024 is that, quote, young voters, young Black and Latino voters, they're not ready to come back to the party as the country heads to a rematch between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. So my question is, what do you think is the biggest challenge facing your party in getting young people to vote for Biden in November, and what are you all doing about it?
Well, first of all, it's so wonderful to be back here on this campus. I have fond memories of coming to this campus back in 1982. I know, all right, I'll just tell you, I'm old. And I appreciate the fact that I'm still here and still loving what I do. But I came here in 1982. There was a young lady, Star Jones, who was here. And you know what Star helped me with? She helped me get petitions from many of the students that we later submitted to the United States Congress to make Dr. King's birthday a national holiday. So
wow.
I try to, tell my students, not just at Georgetown, but everywhere I go, you are the change. You're the future. You must stand up, speak out, and be part of what we're doing today. Why you? Because there's no one better. Why now? Because tomorrow's not soon enough. Your vote is your voice, and your voice matters. I don't want to stand in your power. I love your power. I mean, you all, there are many more of you than me, okay? And I'm not just speaking for people with gray hair. This is not Miss Clairol, all right? I'm talking about there are more of you who can organize the change that you wish to seek. Please don't tell me you have no power. Don't tell me you cannot create the conditions that will allow you to accelerate the future. The future is now, and the future is unwritten. So what must the Democrats do? Listen to you, talk to you, meet you where you are, give you a seat at the table, recruit you to run for office, encourage you to be more vocal and to serve as delegates to our convention. That's what we must do. We must talk about the issues you care about. I know Social Security and Medicare is not on your agenda, it's on my agenda. I'm not 65 yet, but I want my Social Security. I paid into the system since I was 13, so I want it. I want it. But I also want health care for you. I want climate change. You know what it's like to grow up on the Gulf Coast and see your family wiped out by a Category 5 storm, 149 miles per hour? You know what it's like to wait to find out if somebody has rescued your daddy? A man who served his country in Korea and had to be rescued 7 days after living with 12 feet of water. He said it was worse than Korea, the horrors that he witnessed. Climate change is real. I don't need any more scientific proof. I just need us to focus on that issue. Student debt relief. I'm not pandering to you. I'm telling you these are the things I want too. Many of the things that you want, I want. I want to in the hostilities in the Middle East. And yes, I want Ukraine to prevail. I want justice. I want equal justice under the law. I want to protect my freedom to choose. That's very important. As a descendant of slaves. You ever thought about that? I don't want anyone to think of me as their property. So these issues are issues that will galvanize young people, but perhaps you're saying, oh, I don't want Joe Biden to talk to me. Well, really? I want somebody who's compassionate. I want somebody who has a vision for the future. He may not make it to the 22nd century, but he's made it across the bridge to the 21st, and he's providing each and every one of you with a foundation that you can build on. And that is what you have to think. You have two choices, and it's not Biden or Trump. It's past or future. And which one will you choose? That's how you have to look at this election. Seize the moment. Take advantage of the situation. I have to say one last thing. I'm the third of 9 children. Cheryl, Sheila, Donna, Teddy, Chet, Lisa, Demetri, Kevin, Zilla. I was the one that my mom used to say, shut up, Donna. Had she lived, she would have seen. She died at 52, which is why healthcare has always been a major issue for me. My dad died at 82. He was a veteran. He had healthcare. But my mom told us if we worked hard, got our education, played by the rules, we could do anything we would choose to do. And I chose freedom. I chose freedom. That was my North Star. And ain't nobody gonna turn me around. Ain't nobody gonna stop me for fighting for my rights, your rights, our rights as Americans. In 2 years, we're gonna celebrate 250 years of this so-called democracy. And Benjamin Franklin was right. I don't know if y'all know who he, I didn't go to school with him. I doubt Joe Biden went to school with him. But Mr. Franklin said, it's a democracy if you can keep it. Do you want to keep it? I do. I hope you too. And that's what Democrats have to talk about.
Well, so your passion, your eloquence, what can and what is the Democratic Party doing to motivate young people who do not have a sense that that Biden is the messenger of change that you clearly are trying to say that he is? Unfortunately, I think people are talking about a lesser of two evils.
Double haters. Who in the hell want to be a double hater? I thought we had Valentine's Day to get rid of that.
No, seriously.
I love everybody. Don't hate nothing, y'all.
But you clearly are a great messenger of what you think. I mean, why and how can his message get through? Is it something in the media environment that is causing us to have, his approval ratings are not great. And
they're
and
terrible.
So why do you think that is? And then how can the Democrats translate what you're saying to this crowd here?
Well, two things. One, we're a very polarized society. Today, if I offered my best red beans, etouffee, jambalaya, and crawfish pie, the so-called MAGA Republicans will say, nah, then you know I can't offer them my greens because they don't believe in a plant-based diet. Meaning, we cannot ignore our friends and fellow citizens who are affiliated and aligned with MAGA. I mean, I am never going to spend my life or my time trying to convince people who don't even think I should exist of, their worth or their dignity. I'm going to respect the fact that they have the right to vote and allow me to have the right to vote and allow my vote to be counted. Now, I can't change Joe Biden's age. If it was up to me, I'll take him to a salon and say, you need, don't go as bright orange as the other guy, but you need keep that tan on. When your hat is on, you look better. With your glasses, and maybe get rid of them stiff leather shoes and put on some Cole Haans. And then every time, and then don't walk like this, walk
Yeah.
like you got Beyonce in your ear, okay? Or Taylor Swift. I mean, whatever it takes. But Joe Biden has earned the right to have lived this long and cared so much about the least of these, about making things right, by putting people on the Supreme Court with the values that believe in those words, equal justice under the law. I don't want to disparage Joe Biden because he's old. So is Donald Trump, for that matter.
Yeah, Trump doesn't read old as much.
He reads old. He reads old.
Old.
They're all old. Biden has to have young ideas. He has to look fresh. He has to come across the way he came across at the State of the Union, fiery.
Fiery. Okay.
Come on, Beyonce.
Go ahead.
Oh, girl.
Okay. Hi, I just want to start and say thank you so much for being here. It's just been amazing listening to you. Through Professor Hall's class, I've been researching Spanish language political advertising and how immigrant communities are more vulnerable to heightened reactions or heightened targeting because of these advertisements. I wanted to ask how you have been seeing the Democratic Party react to the right-wing shift in Latino communities, especially those who are escaping authoritarian regimes in South America.
Well, I think the Biden campaign, the first ad that they came out with is dealing with the age issue. The second ad is more targeted toward the Latino voters, reminding, as the president did yesterday, or the day before, I believe, in Arizona, that, I wouldn't be in the White House, I'm paraphrasing Joe Biden, I know I don't look like Joe, but he said, I wouldn't be in the White House had it not been for your vote and your support. There are signs in both the Black community and the Latino community and in the Asian Pacific Islander, and it's driven by demographics and the youth vote, that they're shifting, okay? They're shifting. And one of the things I said, even when I was chair of the party, and before I was chair, even when I was back in the day when I was campaign manager, when you think about the Latino vote, it is not monolithic, just like the women's vote. There's a subset of women, there's a subset of Black people. You all didn't know that? There's a subset of everybody in this room. And what you have to do is target those communities with messages that are centered around values, not just abortion and climate and crime and immigration, around values. Those common themes that can, transcend one's, I'm from Venezuela, or I'm from Colombia, or I'm from Cuba, or I'm from Puerto Rico. And so you have to speak in a language that represents one's value. Hispanic Americans, like all Americans, want to work hard and succeed. They want the American dream to be, a reality that we can reach, and we can reach and go further. But you have to recognize that these messages, whether they're cultural, Pacific, or value, it has to speak to people's heritage, but also their fondness for being in America. So it could happen, and we gotta get that vote back, because without that vote, there's no such thing as a sauce. You just have a recipe, because how are the Democrats gonna carry Nevada? How are the Democrats gonna carry Arizona? How are the Democrats gonna even win in the margins in the so-called blue states? And how will Democrats even put up a fight in Florida?
But what do you attribute the drift that Fabiana was talking, the drift away from the Democratic Party of younger Black voters, younger Latino voters?
The party is out there. The party is out there right now trying to go back, knock on those doors, communicate, and say, here's what we've done. And what we've seen in focus groups and also in the internal targeting that we do is that people don't know what the hell Joe Biden has done.
All right, I just want to briefly echo Fabiana and say thank you for coming today. Being the first Black woman to serve as a manager for a major presidential campaign, how would you say intersectionality impacted your overall experience as it relates to race and gender?
Oh. How much time we have?
I know, I knew that's a pretty big question.
I often think back to my early career when I was a grassroots organizer. And at the time, in full disclosure, I am now editing a book that is going to be released soon and blurbing it on the Honorable Barbara Jordan. I was 16 years old when I heard Barbara Jordan, the first black woman elected to Congress from the Deep South. Shirley Chisholm was the first black woman. And when I listened to Barbara Jordan at the age of 16, I wrote in my diary, and of course I would write to God because I was afraid if I wrote to the parish priest, the Monsignor, the bishop, Archbishop, Cardinal, that it would or Pope, it would never get to God, and I didn't want no man to stop my message going straight up to the top. And so I said, dear God, and this is true, I still have my diary, I found it. Dear God, when I'm 40, I want to be a campaign manager.
Oh.
And so I knew I had to do the work. And in doing the work, I had to take on assignments that, one, they would never give to a woman, and two, they would never give it to a black person. And I had other issues, okay? I was from the South. They didn't think Southerners knew how to organize. Hell yeah. And so I had to deal with it. I had to overcome the obstacles to see the opportunities. I had to get rid of the barriers in order to build a foundation. And I would take on some of the toughest races because they say, they're never gonna win, so yeah, give it to me, because I had nothing to lose.
Hi, my name is Vic. Very nice to meet you. This is kind of similar to the last answer that you just gave, but I was gonna ask, how did your time at the DNC help you transition into your position as a news contributor, and what advice would you have for someone who wants to follow a very similar path?
Woo, that's a good one. So I started writing, I told you my mom said I had a big mouth, and it was true. I didn't even know that I couldn't stop talking until I stopped talking and say, oh, nobody else talking. But I started writing at a very young age. I wrote in diaries. I read lots of books. I had nothing but opinions. People used to come to me when I was 7 years old, Donna, what's your opinion? I wrote the New Year horoscope for the entire neighborhood because I knew what the year would look like for the people in the neighborhood. So by the time I got to high school, I was a writer.
So are you suggesting that what would you suggest to Vic?
Are you going to be a writer? Are you going to be a talker, a podcaster? Are you going to be a broadcast journalism, cable journalism? So when that day came, now before launching my career with CNN, I was already writing for Roll Call because I had worked on Capitol Hill for more than a decade. So I was a syndicated newspaper writer. I was writing for Roll Call. I can't stop writing. You should come to my house one day and say, can we take your pencils? I have pencils in every room, even in my bathroom. You never know, thought might come. Take that shower, write it down. So start early, plan. But when I got my start, it was because prior to 2001, I was probably one of the most notable, quotable Democratic strategists. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I put sound bites to the test. And I could always figure out how to use metaphors. But I began to use my voice. And I'm still using my voice, no longer on cable. I got tired of cable. You know why you get tired of cable? 24/7, people got negative, they got nasty, they didn't have any substance, and I refuse to have a conversation on some superficial stuff where you just want to hate on me, because I ain't trying to hate on you, okay? And when people start just attacking you simply because you're on Fox News or CNN, and the death threats started coming, and the bomb threats, FBI come to my house one morning, somebody's sending me a bomb. I said, for what? What the hell did I do? And it's not what I did, it's, just defending Joe Biden, defending Hillary Clinton, defending Barack Obama, the nastiness, the attacks. I mean, you come to my house now, people say the Russian collusion was a hoax. Seriously? You're gonna steal people's emails, tear it up, shred it, repost it, and then make people out to be a liar, a thief, or whatever, and then people come after you. So if you believe in something, you wanna fight for something, then you will find your path, you will find your voice, and you will continue to make a difference. That's not the way of answering your question, but I'm saying go for it. Stir it up. We need more of you. Every time I got my seat on the table at one of these cable shows, I always say, I ain't gonna be the only black. I'm not gonna be the only woman. And I say, yo, Estudio Español, the University de LSU, I'm not gonna be the only Hispanic, okay? I have represented everybody on television until we could open up the room and let more people in. So I am proud of the work I've done on cable television and broadcast because I've opened doors. And I do the same thing in the space where I write as well. We got to open doors. I want the next generation. We were talking about Yamisha Alcindor. She was one of my students at Georgetown. So I was so proud when she got hired this is who I am. If I can't pass on what I know and what I've achieved and what my legacy to you and all the other people, including some of the men in this room, y'all be surprised how many men I've given birth to. Different daddies, but same, okay? I mean, I find joy in what I do. I find joy in teaching. I find joy in giving back and paying it forward. I find joy in making sure the next generation of Americans, like myself, will have the opportunity to serve and to make a difference.
Do you think there's any way back from the toxicity that we see in the cable news environment? Do you think someone who wants to now start something, should they be not trying to be on the mainstream media? Those are two different questions, but is there any way back? It is so much worse than it was. I mean, I was on Fox, I've been on CNN, I was on MSNBC. I got death threats too, but it wasn't like now. So I just wonder if you see any way out of this. That was the question I think several people wanted to ask, which was, can we ever go back to any kind of civil discourse?
We're going to have to. You cannot keep this level of vitriol and incivility going for the next 5 to 10 years. Something has to break. And I recognize that because the political industry now is a huge industry. I mean, remember, CNN profits went up, their viewership went up during the 2016 election cycle. And I am not ashamed to say this. I took advantage of the fact that Donald Trump wanted to call in. Because at the time, this is full disclosure, at the time, I kept saying, well, if he's on, they're going to need a Democrat to respond. Because every time I went to work, I got paid. I had a salary, and after a certain number of episodes, do you remember those contracts where you had an annual salary, and then every episode, when I first started, $250. 10 years later was almost $500 per episode. And then I was clocking out at $750 before I became chair. And let me tell you, I kept saying, oh, Auntie Donna can pay this. I had a third of the tuition at Rollins. I can pay my third. I had the third of the tuition at University of Southwest. I can pay it. I just looked at it like, I'll go, because he wasn't saying nothing. But I had to show up, get hair and makeup, and any woman that get hair and makeup done professionally, don't complain. I got my hair and my makeup, and I would just sit there for hours as Donald Trump, his rallies, his calling into the show, and you just sit there and wait. And what no one was looking, I was doing like my cash register, cha-ching, cha-ching, tuition paid. I used to call it 1 month on CNN to pay for Janika's tuition or to pay for Brianna a check. So will it change? There's a profit motive in this vitriol, this battle. I took myself out of it because it's not worth it. I mean, I'm sorry, folks, but I'm gonna just be honest. The money was good. It's like a double chocolate layered cake with cherries on top, and in my case, strawberries, okay? And it was good, delicious. But you know what happened? January 6th, I don't know, it was like somebody said, come to your senses. You're not here to make money. We didn't ask you to come this far. God didn't put me here just simply to get another paycheck. That was the day that I saw my country, and I was afraid we would not have a country. And as someone who actually came to Washington, D.C. to serve as an intern, to work on Capitol Hill, to see the Capitol under attack, serving as Eleanor Holmes' Norton Chief of Staff, serving as a staff director on a committee, I seeing my country attacked, seeing policemen, knowing that my friends, my congresswoman who I love deeply and dearly, like my own mother, knowing that there were people there whose lives were under threat, it changed my life. But I would never, ever go back in my life and say I have any regrets. I have learned, and I do believe that we are going to find our North Star as a country. We're going to recognize that just because you voted MAGA and I voted Biden doesn't mean that if your house is burning, I'm not going to bring water. If you need clothing, I'm not going to try to donate. I'm never going to be that American that don't like or dislike my citizens or my country, women and men, simply because of the way you vote. I want to encourage everybody to vote. I want you to look at the issues, think about the candidates, but more importantly, think about your family and think about your future. And that's what I hope to do with my life.
Okay. I think we want to have another question. Yes. Let's see. Maybe behind there? Yeah. And then we'll maybe come here.
And then we have a young man over to your right.
Have we? Oh, yeah, we've got somebody way in the back. Yes. I'm looking at our time here. Okay, we're good. Pardon? No, let's get a mic wrangler there, but I do want to get around as much as we can.
Hi, my name is Abby Lynn Williams. I'm a senior at AU, and so because the Democratic Party has such a diverse base, but it often feels like the party's out of touch, how does the party improve its messaging to those people who feel like the Republicans may represent the working class voters better?
We have to tell a story. I think we're lousy storytellers. And every good story starts with a narrative. And that narrative is how far we've come in this short period of time, where we now have toilet paper. We may not like the fact that a 24 container is now $21.99, not $19.99 at Costco. We don't like the fact that when we go to the grocery store, a dozen of eggs is $3.99. If they're organic, they're $4.99. You go to Trader Joe's, you can get them at $2.99. I mean, we have to sound like the people we're representing. We got to understand their frustration about gas prices going up and down. Saudi Arabia and Russia are not pumping. They want to bring the price of oil to 100. United States is having the biggest, best production year, and yet we can't talk about that. It's almost as if sometimes you feel like the Democrats love to say that I passed H.R. 2142. What is that? Other than, we need to say, I have a bill now that will ensure that you have the best internet connection, and you can afford it. And this is what that means when you have an internet connection. It means that you can stay in touch and you can find other opportunities. I have a bill now that will do a better job of paying, social workers and dealing with mental health issues. We got to talk like everyday people. And also, we cannot just rely on people at the top. This is not a top-down thing. It's a bottom-up. We got to feed and fertilize the grassroots. Everything begins with a seed. And unless you can have that seed, fertilize that seed, water that seed, you're never going to grow anything. And we have to learn how to take our messages and bring it to the people where they live, where they eat, where they play, where they go to school and everything else. Because unless people know what you've done for them, they just think you're not doing anything. And I think Joe Biden has done a lot. And not just Joe Biden has gotten over 84 bills passed. I'm proud that we're going to make chips. I don't know, it's not potato chips, but actual chips for all of our little phones and stuff. I'm proud that we're going to make them in America. I'm proud that we're bringing back the manufacturing sector, and you don't need a 4-year degree for some of the jobs that are being created. I'm very proud that pretty soon that we'll all have access to electric vehicles and hopefully the stations by which we can charge up. But these are things we have to talk about, progress that we're making, progress. And just the other day, Jane, you probably would, endometriosis, breast cancer, uterine cancer, prostate cancer. We got a lot of problems in my family from a healthcare point of view. But for the first time in our history, the President of the United States signed an executive order the other day to make sure that women can get some of the research available. Right now, if you're a woman who had breast cancer or a woman who had uterine fibroids, I mean, the reason why we have research on these issues is because of the Department of Defense. Those items have been in the defense budget because of women in the military, not in Health and Human Services. Who did that? Joe Biden. You know, we got to tell our story. The Affordable Care Act is about to celebrate its anniversary. We need to talk about pre-existing conditions. We need to tell the American people there are 150 million Americans with pre-existing conditions. And every time the Republicans and Donald Trump threaten to eliminate the Affordable Care Act, that's 150 million Americans with diabetes, and people who are struggling with cancer. That's almost half of our citizens. We've got to be very passionate. But all of you need to understand what the Democrats are doing, what Biden has done. And you need to help be our messengers. I'm not paid to be a messenger. Actually, when I was party chair, I wasn't paid either, because I said, you know what? A party that helped provide me with civil rights, voting rights, fair housing rights, and so much more, I'm going to help my party. I love my party. The modern Democratic Party, not the past. I mean, come on. Fannie Lou Hamer's almost 60 years ago had to knock on the door and say, give me a seat at the table. We now have seats, and don't give them up. I'm never going to give up my seat. And I hope when you're a Democrat, if you're not, come on in. I'll give you a seat. I'll share my seat, too. I'll lose a little bit of weight. May have to do a little Ozempic like Oprah. But, you know, unfortunately, she's a friend. I said it. She knows it.
Can I ask you? You go ahead, sorry.
No, but I just want you to believe that you're the messenger. Help us craft the song. Maybe we need Taylor Swift, because everything sounds like anti-hero. Maybe I need Beyonce. You know, I might need Nas. I don't know who I need. I just know that Biden alone, Harris alone, cannot carry the weight of 330 plus million Americans. Each and every one of us have a role to play this fall. Whether you encourage 5 friends to vote, whether you find 2 people in your family that needs to get their voter registration up to date, whether you decide to go out there and say, you know, whether I'm in a battleground state or a non-battleground state, I have a congressional election, I have this election, I'm gonna get involved, or whether you decide that it's my time to run. Maybe it's your turn. Think about it. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to ask you in terms of, well, are they sending you out? I mean, and also, you know, they were looking for Taylor Swift. She did tell people to vote, but are there people, you know, in the past they had Megan Thee Stallion? I mean, are there celebrities, and what are there people that are being out there, are being used? Will they be used?
Yes. I mean,
can you tell us a little bit about it?
So campaigns are like start low, go slow, rise higher, strike fire, get out your vote. We're still in the phase. He just secured the nomination a week ago along with the former president of the United States, his predecessor, Mr. Biden. And now we're on this march with about 12 or 15 more states and territories to vote. And then we go to the convention. The Republicans are first in July, we're second. So between now and June, we just entered the first phase, which is what I call the State of the Union. Second phase is the convention. Third phase, if we decide to have debates, and of course the last phase is about get out to vote. This phase is the most important because it's about persuasion, getting the message right, putting out ads, focusing on how to draw people in, and then I guarantee you the last phase of the campaign is going to be so negative. I hope all y'all have umbrellas, because there's going to be a lot of stuff raining from the sky. But we're in the right phase. We're in the right phase, and the right phase meaning that we're going to have more surrogates, we're going to have more opportunities to communicate with people. The president, he's been in every battleground state since his State of the Union. And if you look at the Joe Biden schedule versus Donald Trump, I mean, with the exception of court appearances, Donald Trump only goes out on Saturdays. Think about it. I mean, I'm on Sunday shows, so I get this. And Biden has been to Nevada, he was in Arizona, went to Texas, and he's back, and he's gone back around to the Philadelphia, the Michigans and the Wisconsins, and I just hope we can expand it to more than just the battleground state. That's why we're going to need a lot of surrogates.
Okay? Yes. I'll tell you what, let's get to someone in the back who hasn't. Somebody was wanting to, let's go to that.
And then we'll come back to you, young lady up front. You'll get the closing argument.
Right, yeah, okay, I'm just checking on our time here. Okay, go ahead. Tell us your name, please.
Name's Ian Moffat. Hello, Mrs. Brazile. Welcome to AU.
Thank you.
I know you said you weren't on the campaign, so maybe your answer can only go so far. But if I could have a holistic critique of the Biden 2024 campaign, it would be that I can't peg a specific, tangible, bread and butter policy agenda like I could in 2020 with Build Back Better. Other campaigns like Bernie Sanders had Medicare for All, et cetera. What is the Biden 2024 specific, tangible, bread and butter policy agenda, or is it just Trump bad plus abortion? And if they don't have one, what ought it to be?
I don't think he's given up on building back better, stronger. But when you're in government, as opposed to running against the incumbent as he was a challenger in 2020. As an incumbent president, he has his record. He has his record. I mean, how many of you are disappointed that unemployment is the lowest it's been in 60 years? How many of you are disappointed that inflation has gone from 9% to now under 4%? How many of you are disappointed in the progress we've made with bringing back manufacturing jobs? You know, making sure the supply chain is functional so that we don't run out of essential ingredients in toilet paper. So I think the president has, he said last year when we said, yeah, finish the job. Maybe I'm never, I wasn't a marketing, I didn't major in marketing. I don't know how to brand it. But you know how I brand it? I brand it as delivering for the middle class. Keeping food on your table, keeping jobs in your neighborhood, and building an infrastructure in a country that will be able to soar in the 21st century. It has to be simple. And it can't be just 3 words or 4 syllables, but it has to be something that grabs people. But remember the other problem, and I welcome your comments because you've been in the media. I mean, back in the day when I first started in politics, I'm telling you, I'm gonna give you all my age, y'all. Not me, because I'm gonna be forever young. That's a song. But we had 3 network televisions. And after 6 o'clock, if you're on a campaign, you're off. You can go get your beer, wine, or whatever you liked. But now you're 24/7. You got to have a digital team. When I started, we had more people in the field. Now there are more people doing digital. Mm-hmm. We had to disperse and then send people out in the country. Now they have, these little war rooms all over the country. But they're focused on various markets and trying to get their message through. National news is not trusted as it once, back in my day, it was trusted. No longer. Social media, not trusted. In fact, Congress is as popular as a root canal. So our institutions are failing us. The media being part of that fabric of democracy, First Amendment protections, they're failing us as well. I mean, again, how many times I go on television and I have to talk about the horse race? Yeah. If you poll all of my siblings, we don't agree on nothing, but we love each other. My sister, number 6, Lisa, make her gumbo with turkey necks. I said, that's gross. You should put shrimp and crabs only. But my other sister, no, not just shrimp or crab, oysters, because Louisianians have 4 seasons. My point is, but we love each other, and I still love their gumbo. But in this country, somehow or another, when the news media only want to focus on the horse race, they don't want to talk about the substance, just the superficial. Remember when Obama had on a tan suit? First thing I say, is it clean? But, and I don't even want to get into how women are treated in the media. It's just
that's one of my questions.
It makes my blood boil. I had to talk about menopause during the 2008 cycle because some reporter on the stage, at the round table said, she is showing signs, speaking of Hillary Clinton, this was in January, right before the New Hampshire primary, she's showing signs of menopause. And the guy started talking about menopause, and I'm like, Guys, I know what menopause is. That's not menopause. That's passion. That's Hillary saying why she's running, why she believes. And look at Nikki Haley. How many times I had to defend Nikki Haley on television? Not her views, not her policies, because they won't talk about that. What she was wearing. I'm like, wish I could fit in that dress. Probably haven't fit in that dress since I was 12, okay? But because Donald Trump made a comment about what she was wearing.
Yeah.
So it is, we got a long way to go toward a more perfect union. And I hope everyone in this room and everyone watching us will learn how to play their part in preserving, protecting, not just our democracies, but our freedoms. Thank you for that great question, my friend.
Okay.
We got two more.
Okay, I think we've got a couple more.
All
Let's
right.
be sure that we-
Young
let's be
man
sure
in the
that we
back
get-
with your blue coat, because I don't want you to leave.
I think we've got time for.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay. I think
right.
we have time for one more question.
Yes,
We're going
ma'am.
to privilege it back down front. Okay.
Well, I told Zora I got a little rescue. When I adopted her, I named her after Zora Neale Hurston. So I told my dog, I walked her, I fed her, and I said to her, and she only ate half the bowl because I think she likes to eat when I'm not there. So when I get home, she can say I'm still hungry. And I told Zora I'll be home by 9 o'clock. So she's in good shape.
We're gonna end before then.
All right.
Okay.
Hi.
Tell us your name.
My name is Audrey. I'm in Professor Hall's Politics and the Media class.
Great.
Journalism major here.
Thank you.
And I'm just wondering, as we've been watching all the primaries unfold, we've seen a lot of people start to vote uncommitted because they're really frustrated with some of the just devastating images that are coming out of Gaza and are like what they see as the Biden administration's complicity in that by continuing to approve aid. And as you said, your vote is your voice, and these people are saying, hey, we aren't so happy with the other guy, but we're really unhappy with this stance, and it's a red line for us. And I'm wondering, do you think that the Biden campaign should be taking this seriously, especially because, as you said earlier, this could be a really close race?
First of all, the campaign is taking it seriously. Not only did they dispatch their campaign manager to Michigan, they also dispatched the chief of staff, deputy chief of staff, people from the National Security Council. Look, we got to listen. This is a difficult situation. What took place on October 7th was horrific. And, you know, Israel is an ally, is a partner, and I recognize why the president went over and why the United States made a commitment to stand by its ally. And I think where we are today, where is far different than where we started off. The United States wanted a two-state solution. Secretary Blinken is over in Saudi Arabia. He is trying to forge a ceasefire that is durable, that is lasting. 31,000 Palestinians did not deserve to die simply because Hamas started this war. And many of them are women and children. And it makes me sad, not only because we should protect the innocent, but it makes me sad because it is going to be even more difficult to get this two-state solution. I visited that kibbutz. I've been to Israel several times. And I went to the West Bank. I've been to Ramallah. I went because I'm also a Christian. And I wanted to drink from the same fountain where I thought my Lord and Savior. I wanted to sit under the olive tree. I wanted to go and see where those women who were not afraid to leave Jesus when he was crucified. I wanted to go and see. I wanted to feel if I could feel their strength. Because the men ran. You remember, they ran. They were in the upper room. The women stayed. They didn't have to have Jesus come back and show his mark to Thomas. The women were not afraid. I wanted to be there. So it pains me. And it was very tough to know that the kibbutz that I spent time was one of the first attacked. And that I may have lost friends, and friends who were later, we learned they were raped. So I want this peace more than perhaps anyone, because I know that region, I know the people, I love the people. And I do believe that we have to keep pushing. And uncommitted voters or uncommitted delegates, some whom will be in our convention in Chicago, have every right to attend, to participate, because they use their vote as their voice of displeasure with the status quo and things. That's the way to do it in a democracy. And Biden and Harris, because I say Biden-Harris, I'm voting for a ticket. Biden-Harris will allow them to continue to speak. We just heard from them in Washington State. We might hear from them in other states, because every American deserves to be heard. That's what I started off by saying. I'm going to end by saying this. Stand in your power. Stand in your power. Use your vote as your voice. And make what they say, make a joyful noise.
But Donna, I just have to follow up on that, because you teach young people, I teach young people. The public sentiment has shifted. Young people were leading on being concerned about the humanitarian crisis and calling for a ceasefire. It's a very controversial and emotional subject, but public sentiment has, young people led on that, at least that idea. And I think a lot of young people are associating President Biden with being on one side of this war, fairly or unfairly. And I just wonder, how can that be addressed? I mean, it's a subject that's even hard for people to talk about on this campus. But the sentiment has shifted with the number of deaths.
Look, the one thing I respect, and again, I respect and love about Joe Biden is that he has spoken his truth, but he's also spoken truth to power. He has spoken to the Prime Minister of Israel. He has conveyed his displeasure, whether you heard him say over the top, or whether you have heard him say, we got to stop this incursion into Rafah. I mean, Israel is a sovereign nation. The president can make his statement. The Congress, the Senate has voted, the House has not voted. But this is a very important issue. I'm not telling young people to ignore this issue. I'm not telling them to ignore violence, whether it's in the Middle East or whether it's here at home. I'm not telling young people how to vote, but I'm telling young people that this president, this administration has a deep and abiding record on fighting for justice and equality for all. And I think at the end of the day, I want to stand with Joe Biden and try to get to where he would like to see this war go, which is to end it and to help rebuild Gaza, to ensure that the Palestinian people have a voice and that Israel is also safe and secure. I mean, we can do two things at once, but the one thing we cannot do is abandon our ally, and that's where I will always stand.
Okay. I think that is going to have to be our last question. I just want to say, first of all, that I want to thank Kennedy Political Union Director Shreya Joshi, who couldn't be with us tonight, and Ian Whitehouse for stepping in, the wonderful KPU team, SOC, our wonderful tech team, Jacob Bedoin, Tom Fish, Rodrigo Salvatierra, our SOC Media and Events team, Tia Millage, Kadi Vera, Grace Ibrahim, Veronica Castro, also, of course, our Dean, Lena Jaswal, and all of the people who were here from the university, from leadership here. And thank you, most of all, Donna Brazile.
Thank you, most of all.